What's up, guys? Welcome back to D-Life HD. Today we're going to be giving you our first impressions on Aliens Fireteam Elite. That's right, the newest game in the Alien franchise. Now, of course, this has never really been much of a cohesive series. Rather, it's just a ton of games based off of the Alien property. The last game we saw based off of the second film, Aliens, which is much more of a bombastic action film, was Aliens Colonial Marines. And if you know anything about failed games, then you definitely know that that game is infamous for being extremely crappy. It overpromised and underdelivered, completely underwhelming everyone that picked it up. So, with the newest game in the series, Alien Fireteam Elite, going for a Aliens inspiration as well, people were very cautious about how it would turn out after the being burned by Colonial Marines. So I'm here today with my co-host, Victor, to talk to you about our experiences with Aliens Fireteam and whether or not it holds up under scrutiny. And yes, we're going to be applying quite a bit of scrutiny to it based off of the last game, but fortunately, this is developed by a different studio called Iron Studios, and this is their first title. So, is it good? Is it worth your money? And does it give you your alien fix? Find out after the intro. Alright, first things first, let's talk a little bit about what kind of game this is. While the last game was primarily a single-player campaign, this game has a greater focus on co-op, which is appropriate considering that you play as a Marine. And your job will be to go in with your fire team, hence the name, to take on a variety of missions. And there are 12 missions available at launch as well as a horde mode. It's a little bit light on content, but this is very clearly a budget game. Even the developers themselves have said so, which is why it is only $40 at the moment. So you will go in with your team. You can choose from a variety of classes, such as gunner, heavy weapons, medic, and you will be able to utilize different skills to carry each other to victory. All right, Victor, let's let you talk. What have you thought about the game so far?
Oh, this is our first impressions video, so it's not like we've been able to fully dive into this game. It's only sort of what we've done at the surface, and so far, I can say that the gameplay itself is really solid, especially when the multiplayer is working properly. I think this game, of course, is going to shine in its multiplayer. If you are someone that likes to play single player and offline, which is typically how I am, I don't think you're going to have quite as a good experience going in it alone, because the AI companions seem to be pretty stupid. And I think, yeah, this game is definitely going to be best played if you have two other people that can join up with you, or maybe if you're willing to play with randoms. But I think communication is key here. It's not something where you can sort of just go in mindlessly, because while there is just a lot of crazy shooting going on, I think there is some strategy, especially considering the classes that we discussed already. For example, the latest mission that we did, I was playing heavy, Sam was playing medic, and it was definitely a cool experience to see how those different classes played into the strategy of the game, because a lot of times I was the one who was at the forefront of the team, sort of going guns blazing, while Sam was making sure we were up to snuff with all of our health being good and buffing us throughout the time. And that's not something that's unique to Aliens, but it's really cool to see how that is sort of carried out in this style of game.
Yeah, definitely. The way the classes function together, I think, adds to the replay value of these missions. And on the topic of AI companions, I can't help but make the comparison in this game. I just compared it to Triforce Heroes, which was the Zelda title for the 3DS, which is a 3-player campaign. And just this like mission structure of going through individual missions together with 3 players really brought to mind that game. Now, in that game, you just had to control all your characters and switch between them, and that was terrible. So I actually kind of feared that would be the case in this game. I thought maybe you would just have like 2 sentry guns you could set down or something. But fortunately, you do have AI companions, but they can be misleading. In the first mission, you're really just gunning. and so they're great. You just need someone to help you gun, and they gun, and it works out fine. But in the later missions, it's like, well, okay, actually, there's going to be too many to handle, so you're going to need to make a run for it, and they'll just stay in and get gunned, or keep gunning until they get taken down, and it's like, no, come on, just run. They don't have any real knowledge of when to run, so that's unfortunate. But the game says this is not recommended, and that's why there are several options for you out there if you don't have friends to play with, which is unfortunately probably going to be the case for a lot of people just because of the fact that this is not cross-platform, as well as the fact that it can be difficult to get all your friends to buy a game like this that isn't in a very popular series, and just the fact that, of course, getting everyone online at the same time is a nightmare as well. So there are other options available. You can play with random players, but unfortunately at launch, there is no voice chat available, which can be a drag if you're just playing with random people. So do try to take advantage of outside platforms to find a team to play with, because the way matchmaking is in this game is extremely questionable. They have it where pretty much there's no quick play feature. Once you select your mission, you'll choose battle cards as well, which can change the flow of gameplay, such as you can just augment the way that the game runs, basically. And then you'll choose a difficulty. And each choice you make segments off into a separate branch of searching for players who chose those exact same things. And with a player base as small as a game like this is bound to be, I think that was probably a poor choice. And that's why every time I've tried to find a lobby, even just on standard difficulty, no cards, first mission, I can't even find anyone. Do you want to talk a little bit about our experience trying to lobby up with each other for some friendly matches?
At first, I want to say that the fact that cross-platform isn't present here is, I feel like, a missed opportunity. I know this is their first game as a studio, but and figuring out cross-platform can be difficult. But as far as more and more games getting that functionality goes, I think people have really cracked the code as to how it works, because previously they were thinking, oh, well, every single cross-platform game is going to have a different formula, but now, like Rocket League and Fortnite, the way that they do it is you create your own account within the game itself, and so I feel like cross-platform isn't that difficult to do anymore, and even though they're a new studio, that's not really an excuse. I feel like they should have included it here, because it would have been a shared experience. Even if you don't have friends on other platforms, perhaps it'd be easier to get into matches because there'd just be a bigger player base because there's more consoles. As far as us trying to create a multiplayer experience just for us, we struggled a lot. First, I want to tell, jumping back to the AI a little bit, our last experience so far playing it, we're in a quest that probably took us, I want to say, somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, because as the missions progress, they get longer and longer from my understanding. So we got all the way to the end, everything was going fine, and it was me, you, and an AI companion. And then it was time to get to extraction, where we had to get to the ship and leave the mission. And we had just fought off a super long horde of different enemies and some bosses, some mini bosses, and we were ready to go. And so we got about this 45-second countdown, say, hey, 45 seconds, then if everybody's at the ship, then you can leave. And the AI companion was just sort of running around mindlessly, and then he got knocked down. And so the thing of it is, they wanted you to be able to survive these last 45 seconds, and so they sort of sent all of the hard enemies at once. It wouldn't be as difficult if we were all grouped up at the ship, but the AI companion was sort of just doing its own thing and didn't understand the concept of it's time to leave. So at 12 seconds left until we would have been home free, AI got knocked down. We had to go and get him, which caused all of us to get knocked down because they were sending all of these high-level enemies at us. And it made us just turn on, or at least I was just ready to turn the game off and take a break, because it was extremely frustrating that that was the case. And it really detracts from the overall experience that, you know, two people can't buy the game and really have a fully positive experience playing in multiplayer because the AI companion was too stupid to get to the objective and caused us to lose 30 minutes of gameplay because of the 12-second countdown that was left on the clock. So that was frustrating. And in addition, as far as us trying to even get into a match, supposedly the servers were a little bit overwhelmed. That's what I've heard online. Perhaps a lot of people were giving this game a shot on Xbox, which is where we're playing it. And for, I want to say, the second night we tried to play it, we got one mission down, and then we couldn't even join the same room anymore. Because we ran that mission, and then we launched the next one, and it kicked us apart from each other. And so the thing of it is, the way it works is when you get into a room together, you send an invite, you have to wait through a load screen, which takes a couple minutes, literally, on the systems, Xboxes we're running it on. Then you have to launch the mission, wait on a load screen there, and then we got kicked out of the room again. And I want to say we tried 4, 5, or 6 times to try to load into these matches, and sometimes we couldn't even get into the same room together, let alone launch the mission. And that night, we got the one mission done, and then we were done because I wasn't going to sit there and try to fiddle with it 100 different times and just hope that it would work. So there was some negative experiences getting the game even started. I can say 100% that once we did get it started, even though there was the stupid AI, the meat and potatoes of the game was very enjoyable, and the gunplay works really well. And so it's hard to discredit the game so much for its online experience, because what's really there, the variety in the enemies and the actual interesting, engaging dialogue that goes on as you're going to these individual objectives throughout each mission. Like, what's there is really good. It's just hindered by really bad online so far through our experience. I get that it's early on in the game, and hopefully they'll be able to fix it, because if they do fix it and perhaps add crossplay, I think that this game is going to shine as a good multiplayer game, especially with the inspirations it takes from the Left 4 Dead series. That's one that's really big when it comes to multiplayer that people still look back on fondly, and we now have Back 4 Blood coming out here shortly. I think that this sort of fits in that genre of horde shooters. It is a different take on it because it's not zombies, and I'm not a big fan of zombies. So this is a game of that nature that I can get into that takes on different enemy types in a completely different setting.
I will say that I wish we could say more about the game so far, but unfortunately, despite allocating plenty of time to play this together, the various issues kept us from making any progress. We haven't even finished the first chapter just because we had such a difficult time getting the lobbying to work. The game just kept crashing on us while we were trying to lobby up, and then when we finally did get lobbied up and played one single match, that AI dragged us down. I can't believe, at least to my knowledge, there's no way to fill in that empty slot in your friendly team with a random player. I haven't been able to connect to a single random player up to this point. And while there is a pretty advanced pinging system, it's not exactly super intuitive, and it's also not taught to you at any point. So, unfortunately, this is just not very easy to play with randoms anyway without any kind of voice chat. Especially in the later missions where strategy is absolutely necessary. So, and the fact that you don't know what people's loadouts are like, you don't really know what their strategy is, and so you're not going to be able to be like, hey, come heal me, because you might not realize what class they are or what their loadout is like. But man, it feels like frustrating, because this game feels like it could be really good, but it's like they're just dangling the carrot in front of us, and we're just chasing it.
I would compare it to like a really awesome dream that you can't move in. Like, I really want to get to the cool part, but I can't because I'm hindered by terrible online functionality. And Honestly, I'm not really too hard on online functionality because I like Nintendo games and their online's the worst. Like when we can't even get into a match, like when I only have a certain amount of like time I can play games, and yet let alone time that syncs up with your schedule, and it just doesn't work. It's really aggravating. And like Sam said, we haven't even got past the first chapter of the campaign, which there's 4 different chapters of. And so we're still stuck in the ship setting, but they've got like ancient ruins, like a temple looking area, and I'm really excited to check that out because I'm more of a fantasy fan than I am sci-fi. So gunslinging in a temple is something that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that. And since we're kind of moving in that direction anyway, let's just talk about the game itself. I mean, let's talk about it outside of the multiplayer aspects. Let's talk about how the game looks, what it's like, and then at the end I'll tell you a little bit just about how it satisfies me as a fan of the franchise. So, first thing I will note is there's a little hub world between missions that is just so small it feels kind of pointless. It kind of feels similar to like what's it called? Inkopolis in Splatoon, where it's just a teeny hub world, except even more lifeless. And my hope is that they've promised a year's worth of updates for free, and I'm hoping they will flesh that out and add more to do there, hopefully. Especially add in some requested features like the crossplay and all that. But one of the big things is fleshing out that hub world, because otherwise it feels kind of pointless. But what there is in the hub world is nice. You have the ability to customize your guy fully. You can make your weapons look how you want them. You can add little stickers. You can you upgrade your looks, basically. I think that's actually really, really cool. And another thing I wanted to talk about was the music. I think we both know where I'm going to go with this. So, we both noticed playing this game that the music has several glitches. And at first I thought it might be my setup. So I tried everything. I switched from surround, stereo, mono, headphones, soundbar, speakers, just desktop speakers. Nope, nothing changed anything. Basically, the music is great, but it will cut out randomly and fade in randomly. And when you're in a hallway, it seems like it'll just cut out completely, and then you'll leave the hallway and it will just cut back in weird. It's so
Very
strange.
frequent.
It's
Not
so
just
strange.
random, it's all the time. And what confirmed that it was an issue was he brought it up to me, and I had definitely noticed it and just forgotten to ask. This is actually something that I talked about in my Monster Hunter Rise review. It's literally the same exact issue. They patched it out later and it didn't happen at all, but like it's detracting from the setting because music is a huge what's it called? It's a huge makes a huge impact on this, like the setting in the game and the scenario. Contributor, that's the word I was looking for. For some reason I couldn't find it. And like cutting out every 5 seconds when you change, not 5 seconds, but just when you change areas, which happens all the time because you're running from room to room to room. Like, it's aggravating.
It really is.
I mean, it was my same gripe with Monster Hunter, because Monster Hunter has great music and it was just cut out all the time. It's literally the same exact issue. The sound effects aren't going away. It's just the music.
And when you're basically, music likes to come in when a horde starts chasing you. So, the music will come in. It'll make your heart start racing. And you'll turn and run away from the horde, and they'll be chasing you. You'll be shooting over your shoulder. And you'll run through a hallway to get to another room. And then the music will just cut out. And you'll think, oh, are they not chasing me? And you'll turn around and get ambushed. And it can really throw you off. But the sound design is excellent. The sound effects are perfectly in line with the movie. The music sounds very intense. And one really nice feature is that sometimes when you get like a headshot or a perfect shot, it will play this little, and excuse my Discord ping there. I have no idea why my notifications are on.
All good.
Yeah, sorry about
It's
that.
Open-ended video. It's not a traditional.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Well, yeah, anyway, when you get a good shot in, it'll play this little stinger note, and it feels so satisfying. But sometimes with the music
Like
glitches.
when you get a headshot in Doom, it goes.
Well, it's kind of like that, except for it's not a sound effect, it's a musical cue. But it works its way naturally into the song. But anyway, that's really, really cool, but it can get thrown off sometimes by what direction you're facing or whatever. And yeah, it's really dumb because, I mean, one of the most important things in a game like this is the mood, I'd say. And yeah, so far the mood has just not been happening with me because one, music's always cutting out, and two, the AI companions are always talking in their weird robot voices, and it just sounds so stupid, and it's like really, really mood killing. But that's unfortunate. But the last thing I'll talk about, actually, one more thing, I'll let you say. What do you think of the graphics?
They're a little bit generic. I think that the character designs are okay. I think that because all of the aliens that are in the game are from another part of media, like movies and such, that like they've done a really good job at perfecting them in a video game style, because someone put the hard effort into designing the aliens, and in the game they've done a really good job at staying true to the form and making them glisten and all that, and like not just the graphics, but on the alien front, like their behaviors in the game is really awesome. Like one thing I mentioned is or just run up to you, try to stop and slip and like slide on the ground, like there's like a dog is scurrying on the wood floor or something like that. Like, it's really cool, like small touches like that. But overall, I don't know, the graphics are just okay. Nothing really, it's nothing super mind blowing, not like super stylistic. I feel like that would have been cool.
The creature designs are definitely more focused, I guess, than anything else.
At the same time, we've only been in like super dark ships, like abandoned hallways and stuff, so maybe the temples that I've seen in the trailers later on will be super vibrant or not at all. I don't know. We'll have to get that far.
We would have told you by now if the game had let us. We tried. But the last thing I'll talk about is how the game satisfies you as a fan of the series. Now, notice how I haven't talked about the story so far because there's no reason to talk about it. It's kind of generic and pointless, and it will satisfy you as a fan, but it's really nothing special. I mean, it really.
I'm not a fan. That's sort of. I guess we didn't mention that up at the front of the episode, but you're a fan. I'm not, and so it's two sort of different perspectives, and I didn't even think about the fact that there would have been a story, honestly.
Well, to be fair, you haven't
even present.
You haven't even really been listening most of the time we've been playing, so there's that.
That's not my fault, though.
Well, some of the dialogue is a little bit cringe, not gonna lie to you, and the dialogue from the original movie is super iconic, so it will never live up to that, sadly. But as far as the locations, designs, now that is really living up to the series. It digs super deep into the lore. Instead of just throwing the generic creatures at you, they are really digging deep. They've got 20, I believe, 20 different creatures from series lore, which is just so cool. And already in the first chapter, we've encountered, I'd say, maybe 5 or 6 different types. And one thing I compared it to...
Later on, do you shoot humans, too?
I don't think so.
I saw something like that.
I don't think so, no. I think you're fighting off androids, which is actually based off of Alien Isolation. It's based off of the androids in that game that you fight. They really do dig deep into the lore. It's cool. This game takes place after the first 3 movies, so it references the first 3 movies, as well as the prequel movies, as well as several of the extended universe comics books and games. So it really feels like a cohesive look at the series, and it takes place before the fourth movie, which is the worst one ever that shouldn't exist. So that's also good. But anyway, we have rambled. I will definitely say this. If you're a fan of Alien, pick it up now. If you're a fan of these kind of co-op horde shooters, wait for a sale or wait till you hear some news on updates that fix some of these bugs. Except hopefully they don't fix the bugs you're shooting, because those are awesome. But
Oh, snap.
That's all that we have to say about that for now. We'll probably come back after a while to give you our full review, but that's going to be all for the moment. And maybe by the time we get to the review, we'll have some positive news on the gameplay from some updates, but we'll just have to see. But anyway, guys, I've been Sam, and this has been Victor with me here, and we are the D-Life Dudes. Hope you had a great time talking to us today about Alien, or rather listening to us talk about it. And we would love to know how you're enjoying the game so far if you've played it. What's your favorite movie in the series? And what's your favorite flavor of popcorn? Random question of the day. Put it in the comments. We love talking to you guys. And if you want to join our Discord and talk to us even more, then we'll have a link to that in the description. Aside from that, drop a like on the video. Stay dope, and we'll see you later. Peace out.
Oh, whoa, dude. There's an alien right behind you.
And always stay one up.